Hiya! Okay, day 2 of the Fuck Yes crew, and we're talking about indecision. So think of this as your class on Indecision 101, because we're in America and we love an American reference. If you don't know what you're doing here, you stumbled upon this video by accident, go sign up in the links below to the Fuck Yes crew. It's a really beautiful program. If you know why you're here, I'm so excited that you are here. Let's get into it. Indecision. Ooh. Nobody's favorite, but like everything, we kind of need to understand stuff a little bit more so that we can move through it. And what I've seen through working with incredibly powerful clients, my clients are like, amazing. People who I just deeply respect, admire, and love because they're doing incredible things in the world. And these are smart as fuck people, okay? People don't come to me if you're like some dum-dum who's just like, tell me like a mindset hack. Like, no, come on. You're here and you're smart. When we start exploring what's going on, light bulbs tend to go off. So I'm just gonna give you some context here to go run with. My Live Vibrantly method is my framework for getting people to living vibrantly. The framework is based on 3 pillars. We do healing work, we work on your internal vibrancy, AKA who the fuck you are, and then we work on that one, expressing our external vibrancy, how we operate in the world. How we get there is we focus on 9 core vibrancy skills. Super sexy, I know. The 4 that I really want us to focus in on over the course of this course are awareness, which is what we're doing today, agency, your empowerment, action, but sustainable action that feels good in the long run, which is not necessarily what we're all used to. And then we're gonna look at affirm, and I'm gonna seek in a 5th one, which is my favorite, adorn. Adorn is why we do this work. Adorn is that actual living vibrantly, okay? So we start with adorn because we're always building to adorn. Like, how do you wanna live? Why I'm telling you these things is like, you're gonna hear me referencing them throughout. These are the core skills that I've found when people do this work, it just goes deeper. They can roll with the punches, keep moving forward, even when life does what life does, which is sometimes there is shitty curveballs. I'm gonna categorize where indecision is coming from in my experience. Again, broad strokes here. Let me know if something really doesn't jive with you, but this is what I've kind of brought together over thousands of client hours and decades in this fun little brain, which is always an adventure. As we dive in, remember, and this is if you're gonna take one thing away, awareness is there's no right way to make a decision. There's no singular right way. There is no right here. We think of this in helpful. What is a helpful next step? Because so often people get so caught up in the singular one thing I'm gonna do that's gonna make everything okay, that they don't take any steps forward. I'm guilty of this. I know you're probably guilty of this. There's no shame. We're just gonna start breaking this pattern that there's one right thing to do. Whether it's how you make decisions or what you do or how you live, we get to throw it out the fucking window. You're welcome. So there's no right way of doing this. We're exploring. Get curious. So the 3 major reasons why people feel indecision is 1, society. And I will get on my fucking soapbox and I do not care. Society does not serve the vast majority of us. Unless you are an older, white, cis, straight fucking man, society, the way that it's been set up, you are not meant to succeed. So you have to work that much harder, and as all of those minority identities intersect, you have to work even harder and harder and harder and harder. So society is set up so that you don't succeed, because then that means that the old white fussy dudes get to succeed, maintain their power. So society is training you at every interlude that you should do things a certain way. Exactly what I was saying about there's, one right way of doing things. No. And where indecision tends to come in is you already know what you want to do. I normally live in Seattle. I knew that I needed to get out, get in some sunshine. That's why I'm in LA right now. It's very safely, filming this during COVID times, but being very safe. But society tells me, no, as a wife, and as a job mum, I should stay put. My life is beautiful in Seattle. I should be happy. I shouldn't need to go off and like rent a bougie apartment for a month. And I got some pushback from my family about doing this. Like, well, what does this mean about your marriage? Like, doesn't mean anything about my marriage. Like, we're good. I knew that that was what I needed, but I still doubted it because society tells us we're supposed to be a certain way. So watch out for that. That tends to be like when you start asking other people's opinions a lot, or you start Googling things a huge amount, or you want to join another course, or you kind of keep coming back to this idea that there's something wrong with me. Often this is when we have to like listen in a little bit more to what we already know that we want. I just may run counter to society. So that's one major thing, society. Fucking us over as it always does. I'm really not an anarchist, I promise you. 2, our nervous systems. We talked a little bit about our nervous system yesterday, although I didn't name it in that way. Our brain and nervous system just wants to keep us safe. That's all it cares about. We're so often in an activated nervous system because through no fault of our own, we don't necessarily feel as safe. And this may not be as obvious as like, I don't feel safe right now. The body is such a subtle thing, but when we're in that state, we're not working with all of our senses. Often the approach with this is like, how do I tune in? Okay, and this is a lot of the reason why I'm always talking about making this feel as safe as possible, because I'm practicing and helping our brains to understand this all a little bit more. This nervous system is like when you kind of get that heady, anxious, spinning thoughts, your brain is kind of going haywire, and what about this, and what about this, and what about this, and oh my gosh, and catastrophe. That can sometimes be an indication that your nervous system is just playing around with you a little bit. And that's when we want to find ways of making this work feel safer. And that's through practice. The final one, and this one is a hard one, we don't trust ourselves. And that's normally a continuation of the previous 2, but especially if you've been socialized to women, are not necessarily trained to trust ourselves or be trustworthy because, you know, our bodies and hormones and shit. This lasts for us. And so we are trained and kind of tapping into the society thing a little bit, but we're so trained to defer to other people's opinions, to not trust our own. And again, this is when we get to practice. Play around with it, reaffirm to ourselves over and over and over and over again. This is where affirm comes in. Affirm that we know what we're doing, that we can trust ourselves, that we're not gonna fuck this up. Like, make some affirmations for you. I don't care like what you have to do, like how you do it. Get this into your brain over and over and over again. Those are the 3 major types of where indecision comes in. You get to explore that and get curious about that. So do the prompts now. Let me know what comes up. I'm not gonna give you like, if this is happening, then you do X, because it's not an appropriate container for that. We're not in a coaching agreement right now. And this is really the backbone of much bigger work. So we're just getting curious. We're building our awareness, because that's when we find our agency. And that's when action is super empowered. Enjoy, do the prompts, let me know what's coming up. I cannot wait. And if you're like, I love this video, I have no idea what you're talking about with the Fuck Yes crew, sign up in the link below. Okay, bye, chowsies.